What's up everybody, I'm Gugio and I'm bringing guys the second part of my 3-shot of What If Raditz met Broly. Now, of course, I'm gonna be continuing on after the battle between Frieza and three powerful Saiyans, Broly, Goku, and Raditz himself. Of course, within a party able to practically easily save Namek alongside Lasha to protect it as well, they decided to practically go back to Earth, but because of their ships being kinda broken, they're practically landing on Yardra. On Yardra, Goku was able to completely actually train inside there, and Bro was actually able to learn how to maintain his energy much more better than ever before. Even Raditz actually knows that and eventually started to train himself as well. Lasha also trained with them so she can remain stronger. She was able to learn Super Saiyan thanks to Raditz after him teaching her how to utilize it much more better. Because of this, of course, she became immensely stronger and much more powerful than ever before. But of course, she was still nothing comparable to the three other Saiyans, with Broly still staying on the top while Goku and Raditz himself were actually getting closer to his spot, with both actually mastering the spirit control. Eventually, they're all able to actually gain two techniques of the Raditz, with Broly practically much more focused on controlling his energy. So we would focus on his transmission and gigantification. This is much more suitable for him, since he gets much more bigger than every form he utilizes, so it most likely his size will be pretty beneficial. Whereas we decide to practically learn its transmission and spirit vision. This is a much more compatible thing for him to have. Since it will be much more useful for him to have, almost like to practically utilize as well. If he wants to steal his opponent's power to give it to himself or any of his companions. While Goku was able to pick up instant transmission and healing. Since healing will be pretty useful, so he learns that. Of course, Goku did learn how to practically create clones, but they're not completely perfect. They do separate a little bit of his energy, but not split it in half. So Goku still contains most of his energy, while the clone does have its own energy, but it's much more weaker than Goku's. So Goku is trying to fully master this technique as well. So Goku is actually able to master fully 3 techniques, all Broly and Raditz are able to master fully 2. But it's still a pretty good accomplishment. While Lasha can only actually master its transmission and healing, but it's still pretty useful since the healing is much more compatible for her since she's a female Saiyan. Of course, most of the Saiyans were able to fully master Super Saiyan, with Broly actually able to master a core and even close to actually controlling his Super Saiyan transformation. Of course, both Raditz and Goku were actually able to master Super Saiyan, going through many other stages and eventually mastering it fully after complete full training. Eventually, when they do arrive back on Earth, they practically agree with the Z-Fighters, but alongside 2 newcomers, that being Future Gohan and Ranch. Yes, I'm practically utilizing the name from Moscow X for Razor because I think it's much more fitable if Raz didn't have Future Doors, so yeah. Of course, eventually both Future Saiyans would explain the information about Goku, Raditz, and Broly himself. Goku died of the hard virus like in the original, but Raditz and Broly did continue to spar, and eventually Broly was able to achieve his Super Saiyan and Master thanks to Raditz. But little did they knew that Dojo actually was able to take a DNA of Broly in the Battle of Namek when he bleed against Frieza. Because of this, he was able to create his own Broly, which he called Broly Z. Which of course, this Broly was practically a much more devious and much more cruel version of Broly. But his power he was able to utilize the power of the legendary Super Saiyan form much more better than Broly because he was probably allowing it to control him. And even was allowing its power to flow through his body, unlike Broly who was trying to probably control it. With both of them, Broly's probably fighting against one another, with Z fighting practically the original Broly. Z was able to defeat Broly, but Broly was able to damage of Z, so Rise can have the final kill and Z. But Rise was still exhausted throughout the battle. He was not able to hold his own that much against Android 17 and 18. Lasha decided to practically heal Rise so he can give him enough time, but Rise always to practically leave with their daughter, knowing this is the only way. Eventually, of course, Rise will sacrifice himself, providing a final explosion, able to kill 18, but 17 will still live. Of course, 17 will get irritated and decided to train to increase his power, knowing that 2 of his most powerful subordinates have now perished. So he would have continued to rampage on the city, causing incredible amounts of damage and not allowing any citizen to survive, only allowing them to have mercy as he just kills them quickly, and not slowly like he usually does. Of course, this will most likely would have caused much more casualties in the original Future's timeline, which of course Future can go on would not have actually lost his arm, due to practically the sanity being much more enraged and bloodless that he most likely will not pay that much attention in the battle, and it will practically call off his guard multiple times, but he will most likely not be able to take as much damage because of him being much more durable. Of course, Rancho able to fully access Super Saiyan and eventually going able to master it just like his father and uncle were able to do. But Rancho still be behind him and only able to utilize grade 2 and 3. But she was close to getting to grade 4, and after some time she was able to achieve it. But Gohan was already above her due to his immense potential. But there was still nothing comparable to the power of 17, as he was actually able to find Dojo's lab and upgrade himself to become Super 17. With his power boost, he was already stronger than even Super Saiyan Broly himself, which most likely would have put him into a league of Z Broly, according to Jiro himself. So yeah. Of course, eventually when the three Saiyans learn about what the future holds for both of them, and then incredibly shocked, as Broly is even surprised that Dr. was able to get his DNA is his skulls, thinking that he was too careless. But then Rice tells him that he was careful enough, and knows that Broly would have not been that careless. Ayako agrees with Raditz. Broly thanks them as he realizes that he must be much more careful in the future, with both Saiyans lying to one another. Of course, Broly would have thanked Ranch and Gohan, but he asked if he actually had a future kid. Both Saiyans, future young Saiyans, would look at one another and be kind of in a mixture of nervous tones. They both say that Broly remains single in the mixture of the battle, so he was not practically able to find a lover in any time. Broly just started ground, incredibly disappointed in his future self that he was not able to find even a single wife for himself, even though his best friend and even two best friends were able to practically find their own wives, which kind of saddens him, but he knows he'll find her soon or later. Which of course is to Sans do not and wish him good luck. In which of course Broly would of course continue to train with Bogoku and Raditz, and eventually will actually able to grow a bond with Bulma. Bulma will actually take a liking to Broly since he's strong and also gentle at the same time. And yes, in this timeline, I'm practically doing a ship between both Broly and Bulma, which is kind of a first for me, but I'm doing a thing that this ship will be pretty good. Of course, it will take some time eventually when Broly knows that Bulma practically has a crush on him, and eventually decide to a bunch of feelings, eventually going on a couple of dates throughout the 3 years, and eventually marrying each other. Of course, they don't go into a full marriage couple, but they are still a couple and care for one another. Broly will try to fully master his Super Saiyan form, trying to control it much more better so he can completely master it, just like both Raditz and Goku have. Both Raditz and Goku are trying to fully go beyond the Super Saiyan wall to practically surpass it so he can grow immensely stronger. But of course, with the help of Broly, they're able to do that and eventually unlock Super Saiyan 2. But they still think that this power is not enough. Even though it provides an immense power boost, it's still not enough as both Saiyans think that it will not be enough. Broly thinks that maybe mastering his Super Saiyan form and increasing their base force will most likely be beneficial for all of them, and the Saiyans agrees. Eventually, when 3 years is up, all the Z-Fighters will be prepared. And eventually, the androids will strike like in the original, with of course Zero striking with 19 and eventually fighting off against them. But eventually, of course, it will most likely still lead to the same events happening the same as the original, but without actually the interference of Vegeta, because most of the Z-Fighters will most likely be strong enough to handle 19 by themselves. So yeah. Dojiro, of course, will able to escape when they would have easily annihilated 19, so not giving that much of a chance of them practically falling Jiro. And eventually Jiro would able to awaken both 17, 18, and Bio Broly himself. With Bio Broly practically smirking, as now he is finally free, so he easily kills Jiro before even a second notice. As he cracks his neck and he's finally free as he powers up. His power is surging as he shakes the entire lab, powering up to Super Saiyan as both 17 and 18 were able to jump out of the way, telling Bio to practically be careful, but Bio just laughs and tells him not be scaredy cats. This Bio Broly was much more devious than his original counterpart, possessing much more bloodlust. Of course, when Broly practically senses his own energy, he realized that this was Bio Broly. Bio would just glare at his original counterpart and tell him that he is the real Broly, but Broly tells him that he is not. As he punches Bio just smart, he pushes it back. Both Broly's continue to battle, as Bio and Broly will continue to battle. Of course, the Saiyans decided to battle the androids, but due to their infinite stamina, they were able to keep up with all of them. Eventually, when they make sure of the battle, Cell will appear, and eventually he will absorb not only 17 and 18, but Bio Broly himself. Everyone will be surprised as Cell transforms into Bio Cell, having a combination between Bio Broly and even the power of 17 and 18, he was much stronger as his power was surging through the roof, with his power even shaking the entire solar system as he just stand there. Of course, Cell was able to suppress his presence, and eventually tells Zivar that he will pronounce the Cell games for them to fight him, as he has a devious smirk. Broly and Goku and Rise decide to agree to this, as they decide to train. And eventually, they decided to train inside a time chamber, but Goku and Rise are thinking that maybe their suppressor key to a point and cannot be sent, maybe providing with a much greater boost. and Broly does agree that he thinks it's a good idea. And eventually they do train, and eventually Gohan does join their training. And eventually, by the time Bulma is already actually pregnant with Broly's child, alongside Lasha being pregnant with Radzitz's child, is now they practically are ready for their babies to practically be born. While the followers continue to train inside, Dooku actually realizes and decides to use the Dragon Balls, eventually asking Shenron if there's a form even beyond the Super Saiyan form. And Shenron explains about the Super Saiyan God and the ritual itself. Dooku would realize the ritual was pretty good, so he decides to utilize that. And eventually, they decide to utilize the Super Saiyan God ritual. They decide to use it on Raditz, since Raditz is currently the strongest Saiyan and even close to Broly's power. So eventually, they decide to use the Super Saiyan God ritual on Raditz, and eventually Raditz becomes a Super Saiyan God. It's not time to both Raditz and Broly's spar. And now Broly's power in his Akari form can actually match that of Raditz in Super Saiyan God form. Due to Broly's immense potential and growth, he was able to practically keep up with Raditz's God form. But now Raditz is also incredibly strong and is able to fully control the God form much more better. Even though he cannot utilize it to his full potential, he can at least activate it and at any time he wants, but he cannot fully master it. Goku was next to achieve the Super Saiyan God, and eventually was able to control it just like Raditz. With the intense training now finally done, all the Saiyans will decide to face off against Cell, with the only Broly, Goku, and Raditz himself deciding to fight off against Broly, while the others will stay back and make sure that no civilians were hurt. Eventually, the battle began with the three Saiyans pushing off against the Bio Android. The Bio Android would continue to battle them as he was having immense fun, but he decided to power up. His green aura starts to increase as he realized that he was actually going to his own legendary Super Saiyan form. They actually know that Broly has a legendary Super Saiyan transformation, but he is still not fully mastered. He has mastered his Super Saiyan form, but comparable to his legendary Super Saiyan form, he cannot utilize it that well. Of course, Cell was able to go on a rampage as he became completely able to pummel all the three Saiyans down. But eventually when Broly does power to his legendary Super Saiyan form, he's able to overpower Cell and eventually give them a stalemate. Where Broly was actually not going mindless, but he was actually in control. His pupils will appear when you will actually be fighting Cell, and his pupil will be yellow, just like in his card for a while. His hair will be green because of his legendary Super Saiyan form. With this, of course, both Raditz and Goku would take the chance to practically take multiple shots at Cell so they can weaken him. And with the help of Broly, they're able to combine the three blasts once again, like they did against Frieza, to annihilate Cell, leaving Cell as he is disintegrated with nothing left behind. With the three Saiyans finally falling to the ground exhausted, but happy they were able to succeed in defeating Cell. And now there's 7 years of peace until the battle between Majin Buu. But this will be for the next part. I'll see you guys in the next one. Sayonara everyone. See you next time.